Yo, what's going on YouTube? This is your boy Kamen Spike back again once again. And today we're here for Kamen GAVV episode 37, and in this episode GAVV has taken matters into his own hands and he ends up attacking Gav directly in front of everybody in broad freaking daylight, just as usual. We see that we have encountered the culprit that was the one that took Hunto's mother. It seems like this guy has basically turned over a new leaf and basically living his life as a human and trying to be a better person, I guess. We also see in this episode that we're kind of getting back to some fillery-ish kind of stuff. This episode does feel kind of fillery. It does feel like a little cool down from all the bombasticness that we've been getting in the last few episodes, and we're getting back to work for Sachika. We have to remember she still does run a freaking handyman sort of business. They get asked help from this kid who is trying to he lives with his family, and he basically works in his family shop, and they basically just came up with this shop in there, so it's kind of like more like a little restaurant, little kickback, type of place, and he's trying to get them, more customers, more business and stuff to come in. So he comes and asks Sachika and the rest of them for help, and basically asking them, hey, how can we get our business, more people so we don't go out of business. So the rest of the crew kind of goes around the world kind of goes around the city, kind of spreading the word, kind of asking for help, trying to get a good social media presence, stuff like that, to get the business's name out there so they can get some business. And we get a little glimpse of Lakia in this episode as well, seeing he's looking at his driver and seeing that his driver was heavily damaged in the last fight, and he gets ready to go to Uncle Dente to see if he can get it, fixed and things like that. And that's all we kind of see with Lakia, boys sitting back, cooling, everything like that. And we see that the rest of the crew is kind of spending time with this family. They end up taking them to a zoo and, trying to get some ideas and trying to make the business a little more colorful, a little more attractive and things like that. And we see even Shoma is going up to the sweets guy that he goes to, the sweets guy that he's become acquainted with, and he asks him for advice and stuff like that. How can he help? How can he get in and help out with this little business? And he basically just says that I don't really know much about the stuff that they sell and things like that. I kind of took over this little store. He talks about how he loved this store when he was a boy and things like that. He kind of gives Shoma some ideas on how to get it there. The shop needs like a quirk. It needs like a mascot or colorful type stuff. Get people attracted to coming in. So everybody's doing all that, but on the bad side, on the villain side, we see that everybody's kind of talking about the loss of Longo, the air quotes loss of Longo, and it's hit Glotto really hard, because she's the second oldest. And it kind of messes with her. Longo, that was a big brother, man. That was a big brother. And, her and Longo were like the closest I could see. Like her and Longo were like the closest. They worked the closest together. So, even though that was her brother, that was still like her partner, things like that. I guess she was like his most trusted one. And he was her most trusted one. And, they were family. And she knows that Jeeb is the culprit of it. She does feel like she does know for sure that Jeep is the culprit of this, and we see that even the president himself has basically said that since these humans are like such a problem now that Longo is gone, I didn't think they'd take out Longo. He basically kind of goes down and batten down the hatches. We gotta come up with something to beat them and things like that. And then we see that even Neela basically gets some ideas, basically gets to work. And that's when Glotto goes up she busts up in Jeeb's little freaking beach house and tries to basically choke him out and basically say, all right, you feel good about yourself? You feel good about yourself? You feel good about what you did? You sabotaged Big Brother's plan so you can get your revenge. And then like Jeeb is like, I didn't think he would die. Like, I didn't think he would get beat up. He was the one that was supposed to destroy him. Like, he's the strongest. He's supposed to win and stuff like that, you know. And, you know, Lazille, she's like, man, get your hands off my man, you know. And Gado's like, fine, you can have your fun with him. I don't care. I'm done. And, you know, Big Sis walked out of there and said, F these doors. He just ripped the doors open, man. Big Sis mad. So, and also Jeeb is feeling a lot of guilt. He's feeling, you know, like he's kind of useless, you know, stuff like that. He's anxious and all kind of stuff. He's having nightmares about Sheeta choking him out. Like, he just get choked out. You got choked out in your dream and in real life. I feel like Jeeb is like might be the next one to go, or so you thought, because from that preview, G's probably gonna be a problem, a bigger problem this time. Now right now he's kind of like a nuisance, but right now that next episode seems like he's gonna be a problem, a powerful problem. But we see that G basically, with the help of Lazille, is like, hey man, like I need to get rid of Red Gav. I need to get rid of him quick, like for real. So we see that everybody's kind of chilling at this zoo and things like that. We see Hanto ends up interviewing the guy who is basically, you know, who is also working at the shop with them. His name is Kinji, and you know, Hanto's talking to him, and you know, Genshi basically says something. You know, he's kind of timid, you know, he's kind of shy, you know, kind of quiet kind of guy, but he's cool though. He's nice, and he basically tells Hanto, he's like, yeah, I was brought in, you know, because they said they had an original owner of this place, but he died. So they kind of like took it over after he passed. So he talks about this man, and he talks about how this man kind of brought him in off the streets, and you know, he kind of revitalized his love for, you know, making sweets and stuff like that, because they also sell sweets, but it's kind of more gourmet-ish looking kind of sweets. But he said, I committed a bunch of unforgivable acts. And Hanto's like, unforgivable acts? Like, oh, so you feel like indebted to him? He's like, yeah. He was like, yeah. You know, my life was kind of nothing, you know, before, you know. So yeah, he kind of brought me in and kind of helped me out. He's like, oh, okay. So you feel indebted to him? He's like, yeah, that. So they're kind of cooling. And then that's when Jeeb ends up running up on them. And he runs up with some agents and stuff. Like, he ready. He out. He don't care who's around. He don't care about these humans. He don't care about them elephants and white tigers and stuff, that giraffe that they saw at the zoo. He want his revenge. So intercepts them. Sachika gets Kinji and the little boy up out of there, and the fight ensues. And we see Hanto go into Frappe, and we see Shoma ends up turning into Blizzard Sorbet. I guess he just doesn't want to waste his he doesn't want to waste the other two forms on Jeeb. You know, Jeeb ain't really that big of a threat. He's a threat, but he's not that big of a threat. He's not a Longo. So the fight ensues. We see everybody fighting, everybody getting in it. The agents have to drag Hanto out of there. You know, drag him away from the fight, because you know, the agents know what, you know, Jeeb is trying to do, and if Hanto's there, he's just gonna get in the way. So Hanto got his own solo battle with these freaking agents. So he's, you know, them agents, at the end of the day, them agents still ain't nothing to mess with. They still ain't nothing to F with. But but Hanto got it. He was able to take him out, and his frappe does his frappe does end up melting, but you know, he still got some other stuff in the bag. But yeah, so Jeeb is fighting Hanto's styling on her. You know, he's basically not having a problem with taking out, you know, Jeeb, and then Jeeb is like begging him, like, let me get my revenge, let me have it, come on. And we see Lazille, she's out in the background just watching. Not even blinking. She's watching, sitting there twirling a little parasol. I hate this girl. But just when Shoma is getting ready to take Jeeb out, Lazille stops him, and she basically says, you're not taking out my little princey. And that's when the boy, when they were running away, he turns around and said, the sketchbook, and he runs back to get his sketchbook. And when he gets back, we see he gets there, and the top of the ceiling like gets blown off. Yeah, it gets blown up, and then that's when Kinji jumps in to save him, but he transforms into his Granute form. and that's when Lazille and Jeeb end up leaving. And then when they push off all the rubble and stuff like that, we see that Kenji is in his Granute form, and he is the Granute that took out that basically kidnapped Hanto's mom. And Hanto is like filled with rage. Like, he's filled with rage. He pulls out the blick. He getting ready to take him out. And Kenji like looks up at him in his Granute form as he's like this big wolf Granute. And he looks up at him and he says, I'm the one responsible for taking your mother away from you. And he's like, yeah, you don't remember? I've been searching for you ever since then. And he's like, he looks down at the little boy because he's starting to come to, because he gets knocked out. He doesn't see Kenji in his Granute form. So he turns back into his regular human self, and he picks up Kenji and says, listen, I won't run away from you, but we got to settle this later. I gotta get him home, make sure he's okay. And he walks off, and that's the end of the episode. So man, Hanto is gonna have to make a decision in the next episode, and I hope Hanto's not gonna kill him. I feel like Hanto's just gonna beat him up. That's what I think. I think Hanto's just gonna whoop him. I think he's just gonna whoop him, and then he's gonna let Kenji. He's gonna let Kenji off and stuff like that. I don't think he's gonna beat Kenji, because Kenji seems like he's not that same guy that he was, but we don't know. I'm pretty sure he's not gonna kill Kenji. But yeah, also in this episode we see that Shoma ends up creating like 3 to 4 new Gojizo, and they most likely aren't going to have forms per se, but he does use one of them because of the new stuff that he was eating in this episode. He ends up making new Gojizos, so most likely. And we see that when he made one new Gojizo, it automatically just went over to the capsule and jumped in the capsule. So yeah, most likely we're saving the capsule for like a rainy day. And he's most likely got other little Gojizos for him to use, while other little Gojizos and stuff for him to use, so he can turn into like his regular forms and other forms and stuff like that, while the capsule is like on the back burner, because he's not really fighting anybody right now that is on that Longo level. I'm pretty sure Gelato is most likely is somewhat near Longo. I don't think she's as powerful as Longo, but we know for sure that Big Sister is nothing to mess with either. And right now there really isn't nobody to fight, unless you want to count Lazille, Nilov, Jeeb, the president himself, which most likely, yes, we're going to fight him, and Gelato. So yeah, they're not really that, and also there are still part-timers out there as well, and agents, so there's still a good bit of types of enemies to fight right now. And I guess the strongest person right now that he could fight will be the president and Gelato. But other than that, we kind of got the bases covered until something big happens, and then that's when the capsule's coming out. But man, I wonder how Hanto's gonna deal with this. He's not gonna kill him. He's not gonna off Kenji, but I feel like he's just gonna whoop him. He's gonna beat down on him. He's gonna have a moment, and he's gonna see how much Kenji's changed, and he's gonna give him a chance. And man, but yeah, this episode was pretty good, pretty chill episode until we got to the fighting. It was a pretty chill episode, but man, I still firmly believe that Longo isn't dead. He didn't disappear in the opening, because we know that Sheeta, she disappears in the opening because she is dead herself. But man, how is Jeeb gonna deal with this guilt, man? I think Jeeb is up next. I think Jeeb is the next one to die, and I don't think anybody in the Stomach family cares, because Shoma was ready to take him out. He was ready. He was getting ready to do it until his little pretty princess girlfriend came in and saved him. But other than that, you guys let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think about this episode of Kamen Rider GAVV. Do you think Jeeb is the next in the Stomach family to get taken out? And also, do you think that Hanto is going to take out Kenji? I don't think he is. Most likely he's not, but hopefully he doesn't, because Kenji seems like he's a nicer guy. But other than that, I'm gonna see you guys next time. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. As remember, as I always say, stay henshined.